Clarifications? Mr. Leon Pereira.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, sir, and I thank the Law and Home Affairs Minister, Mr. Shanmugam, for his lengthy comments on my 2 minutes of cut speech. I'd like to just respond to some of his points and also pose some clarifications. He mentioned that he was not surprised at my suggestion of a judicial check on the administration of punishments in prison. I'm equally unsurprised at his disagreement with that. He referred to New Zealand, and he pointed out many problems that New Zealand has recently been grappling with. There's no doubt in my mind if I'd cited another country, he would point out problems with that country as well. My question would be that if instituting an independent organization with investigative powers against the executive government, such as an ombudsman, is such a bad idea, why are so many countries doing that? I made a long speech, which I don't intend to and I can't anyway repeat, in September of 2020 when I gave detailed arguments for an ombudsman. I addressed the objections to the idea one by one. I talked about the countries that have that. You know, many countries do incorporate this institution, and if you were to go to opinion leaders and if you were to conduct public opinion polls in those countries, I'm not at all sure that the majority of people would say that, well, this is a bad thing, let's remove this institution and then things will get better. So that's kind of the first point I want to put across. I think fundamentally, the main argument for this ombudsman comes down to the fact that currently law enforcement institutions sit on the organization chart within the executive government. They are within that command and control hierarchy at the end of the day. An ombudsman would report to Parliament in the manner that I outlined it in that earlier speech. And that means that it sits fundamentally in a different place organizationally. So when it investigates alleged abuses, it's seen to be an investigation coming from a different part of the government. And I think being seen to be that, to do that, has advantages in terms of vertical accountability that is felt by the society, and that has advantages in terms of the strength and solidarity of our polity. I would say that there are tangible advantages to be gained from that. It is difficult to speak of practical benefits that would come from instituting this proposal because it's a hypothetical, of course. We've never had...
Mr. Pereira, if we can keep it to clarifications and questions, if we can.
Okay, I'll just wrap up in the next 1 minute. Because I wouldn't know what sort of cases would be referred to that, how those cases would be dealt with. But what I can say is that in terms of the perception of legitimacy, I think there is a benefit there. The minister mentioned various practical issues that could come about. For example, do we want to duplicate resources? I mean, there are practical solutions to that. You could design an office ombudsman to address that. For example, investigations could be directed by the office, but they could seek resources from other agencies. But I think for the sake of length, I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Minister.
In a way, I'm not sure that we are that far apart, because I had anticipated this point, and which is why I said there are two possible ways. One is you replicate the entire resources. That means you various parts of the government machinery outside, which makes no sense. The alternate is the ombudsman uses the government machinery. I think Mr. Pereira overlooks, if he uses the machinery, those machineries sit within the government. They sit within various ministries. And that's a point I made in my earlier response to him. And today, the very same agencies can report directly to the president. I mean, I've explained how that is so. So I don't understand what the argument is. Maybe Mr. Pereira hasn't understood the constitutional structure and how the CPIB can go direct to the president. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Pradam Singh.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't file a cut for this ministry, but in view of some of the earlier remarks made by the Minister, I have two clarifications. The first pertains to, both pertain to the surveys. I just need to be sure that both were surveys. First one covered the mandatory death penalty. If I heard the Minister right, he said the Ministry is studying the results, and then thereafter, Minister went on to say that in the case, for example, for intentional murder, 81% approve of the mandatory death penalty. And I think there were three other statistics that he revealed in that part. Can I just confirm then, what is the Ministry studying with regard to the mandatory death penalty for this particular survey? There's another question. The second question pertains to the first survey Minister referred to, which covered foreigners in countries, I understand, Minister said, where some of these drug offenders originate from. Can I confirm that that survey would be made public, not for its own sake, but at least people can understand the argument vis-a-vis deterrence quite squarely, and also understand the structure of the survey itself? Thank you.
I thank Mr. Singh for both those questions. The first question relates to a survey amongst Singapore residents. And we did one in 2019. I mean, we do this regularly. And then 2021, on my instructions, a part of the survey specifically focused on mandatory death penalty, because people may have differing views on death penalty and mandatory death penalty. And the figures I gave were for mandatory death penalty. But having said that, I have to put a caveat. As I said, there is a statistical methodology, and this survey has been completed fairly recently. The results are still being analyzed. I have been given these figures with a reasonable degree of confidence. When it's finalized, we will make it available. We will make it public, as we have made public previous surveys. There is no issue about that. It will just take the appropriate time, and we will release it. Second is a survey that Mr. Singh spoke about, or referred to my speech, where I spoke about a survey in the region where not a small number, but many of our drug traffickers come from. The results are known to us. I think it is important, and I've given instructions for it to be made public in some form, in a way that will be not prejudice Singapore's public interests and foreign policy interests.
Mr. Chris D'Souza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have three clarifications. The first has to do with the Misuse of Drugs Act. What MOS Faishal had mentioned, that in order to make the Misuse of Drugs Act more flexible, in order to catch quickly and swiftly new psychoactive substances that come onto the market, they are looking at a framework that concentrates on the effect of the drug. Now, I think that is a good move, but I would like to confirm with him that even if we were to go into that direction, which would make the MDA more swift, we would still retain the first schedule, which lists all the controlled drugs. And if you possess, deal in, or consume in any of those controlled drugs in the first schedule, you will still be up for an offense. So the deterrent effect for the controlled drugs remain. That's my first clarification. My second clarification arises out of what MOS Desmond Tan said, which was anti-terror capabilities. My question to him and my cut was really directed at what intelligence cooperation we can have across jurisdictions to ensure that there's information sharing to preempt a terror attack from happening in Singapore. And I had in mind collaborations with Interpol. Would he be able to confirm that MHA does work with organizations like Interpol to create a good intelligence environment to deter terrorist threats? Third clarification, sir, really arises from the minister's position on the death penalty. First, I want to say that it takes a lot of courage to come out and say that because of the wave of liberal attitudes towards consumption of drugs in the globe today and in the region. And I want to say that as a lawmaker, it is one of the toughest decisions that I have to make for my country whenever the Misuse of Drugs Act comes up, if not the toughest. And I've searched my conscience, and I am fully in favor of the retention of the death penalty. Why? Because 15 grams of diamorphine, heroin, feeds 180 drug abusers a week.
Mr. D'Souza, can we just keep it to the question and clarification?
Yes. So my position here is that in preserving the death penalty, would MHA also share statistics about the effect of the drug and how it creates cross-generational detriment? 180 families is one whole HDB block. And share the empirical evidence of how the death penalty does in fact deter. So I just want to place on record my thanks to the Minister for going deep into a very sensitive topic, notwithstanding the forces at work in the opposite direction.
Mr. D'Souza, if we can just wrap up. Thank you.
That's what I want to say, and I say that as a matter of principle and conviction. Thank you.
So I thank the member for the SQ. Yes, indeed, we will retain the first schedule of the MDA.
Mr. Murali Pillay, would you like to withdraw? Or Mr. Desmond?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick response to Mr. Chris D'Souza's. In my response, I did mention that the police, as well as our intelligence agencies, do work very closely with our regional as well as extra-regional partners from the other countries to ensure there's exchange of information, there are capacity buildings, and there's also joint operation if necessary. So this is something that we have been working with, and that includes our partnership with Interpol. And I've cited examples where we have also worked with the Indonesian agencies some time ago to thwart the plot that was planned against the Marina Bay Sands. Thank you.
Mr. Murali Pillay, would you like to withdraw your amendment, please?
Mr. Chairman, sir, with your leave, I'd like to convey my appreciations to three groups of people. First, the honourable members for filing 40 cuts, which led to a very involved debate on issues that affect MHA. Second, to the two honourable ministers and the two honourable ministers of state for their comprehensive responses. In fact, I cannot remember another COS debate with slides and videos. And honourable members who have seen the videos would probably forever been etched in their memories the pernicious effects of drugs, especially on those who are voiceless. So my thanks to them. But last but not least, on behalf of members who spoke, I'd like to record our appreciation to the home team officers who work every day to keep Singapore safe and secure. With that, may I seek leave to withdraw the card?
Is the honourable member given leave to withdraw the amendment? I think leave of the majority is given. The amendment is withdrawn. The question is that the sum of $6,897,464,400 for hit P send part of the main estimates. As many as of that opinion say aye. To the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is that the sum of $1,306,450,600 for hit P send part of the development estimates. As many as of that opinion say aye. To the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it.